Hello, I'm Brian Lasser, President of Xenix Software. In this short video, I'm going to explain a unique feature of AscentialTest that we refer to as a selector. Interacting with tables and grids is among the biggest challenges in automated testing. A lot of valuable time can be spent determining how to get a value from a cell in a table or click on a particular table row. With other testing tools, the solution involves quite a bit of scripting. In AscentialTest, selectors provide a quick and easy drag and drop solution. A selector provides a way to select a member of an object class, like a row in a table. Later in this video, you'll see that although its primary use is with tables and grids, selectors have other interesting applications. Let's start out by creating a selector. In most cases, AscentialTest creates selectors for tables automatically when the table is defined. In this example, I have a web table that I defined using the Web Table Wizard. When I drag over the table, it generates not only the row class and column objects, but also several selectors. When I click on the selector that was generated for the From column, we can examine its path. Let's dissect it. Most selectors begin with the word contains, which makes sense because the selector is used to identify a row that contains something that we know about the row. In this case, the scope of the selector is only the column that is labeled by the From column header. Overlap X simply means that this column overlaps the From section of the header in the horizontal plane. You can think of it as being the column below the From section of the header. The second part of the path statement is where the selector locates a row based on some known value. In this case, the selector is using the @text attribute of the object. The selector will locate a row or rows when the value of the @text attribute matches the value assigned to the selector. AscentialTest provides a test value field to test whether the selector is working properly. In this example, I can put in the name ready seshi in the test value field. When I do that, notice how the matching row lights up and the selector tells me how many rows are matching. Now that we know how selectors are created, let's see how they're used. Let's say I want to find out the size of an email message. I can do that easily now that I have a selector. I'll use the Actions panel to generate an action that gets a value in the Size column based on a value in the From column. I'm using what we call a simulator right now, just to make it easier to learn about how selectors work. But if I were to run this step against the real application, the results would be exactly the same. The verify action that I just generated uses an index selector to locate the row by default. But that wouldn't work as soon as I received another email, because the index of that row would be incremented by 1. Instead, I'll input a value in the selector field to locate the row based on a string. If I put in seshi and run the test, it confirms that the value of the size field is 6.52 KB. Now I'll change the value to Stacy, but in this case there are 2 emails from Stacy. To select the one I want, I can use 2 selectors. In this case, I'll name the selectors and provide values. I want the row that has the value in the From field as Stacy and Xenix feedback in the subject column. Being able to combine selectors in this way is very useful when you have columns of data with repeating values. I'll predict the correct size value and run the step again. Like the first time, it confirms the value of the size field for my selected row. Selectors provide a lot of other options. Let's say that I want to get the size value of the first email that matches the value of my selector. I'll input Stacy and then add the keyword first. When I run it, I get the value of the size field in the first row that matches Stacy. Let's see what happens when I change the keyword value to last. I can also use the keyword all either in combination with a selector or by itself. If I add it to the selector that I've been using, I now get the size values of all the rows that match my selector. If I use it alone, I get back the value of the size column for all the rows in the table. As you can see, selectors are very powerful and allow you to interact with complex objects like tables easily. Now I want to show you an entirely different way of using selectors that is in the realm of an advanced feature. Let's say that I want to get the value of all the text fields on this form dynamically at runtime. I don't need to have created object definitions in order to do that, thanks to the selector. Instead, I can create the action informationRequest.WebTextAll.getText, where information request is the name of the page and WebText is the name of the class. I'm using the all keyword that we just used. The getText action gets all the text of the WebText objects. When I run my step, notice that AscentialTest locates all of the WebText elements on the page and gets their values. I can do the same thing with the checkboxes to get their checked or unchecked states. That gives you an idea of how selectors make things that are typically difficult quite easy in AscentialTest. I hope that you found this short video on AscentialTest selector feature informative. If you would like to learn more, please visit us at www.xenix.com.